This is the Boys Podcast on TV Podcast Industries, and we're talking about the final season of The Boys and wrapping up our pub quiz.
So how about it, you lot? One last go?
Welcome back, fellow boys and girls, to the Boys Podcast on TV Podcast Industries. We're here to wrap up our pub quiz and talk about our final thoughts around the final season of The Boys. I am one of your hosts, John.
I am your other host, Darick. Finally, getting back to wrap up The Boys.
I know, it seems an age ago since we were talking about The Boys.
It is. We took a week off because we were travelling, and then we came back and did Spider Noir, which is available on our TV Podcast Industries feed. Pop on over to tvpodcastindustries.com for access to all of those episodes that we did over the course of 4 weeks. And now, after that completion of that very good series, Spider Noir, on Prime Video, we're back with The Boys.
Yes, we certainly are. Looking forward to getting into our little final thoughts on The Boys. I guess for the fifth season, but also, I guess, maybe just overall. And as well, yes, the pub quiz is all good as well. Looking forward to pulling the winner from the bag.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, fellow boys and girls, as Darick said, we're covering other stuff, so please pop on over to our website, and you can subscribe on any good or evil podcast player of your choice. Send in your thoughts to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com, or you can head on over to our Facebook group or over to our Discord channel as well. Facebook is facebook.com/groups/TV Podcast Industries. And our Discord link is in the show notes below.
Absolutely. Come and join us while we're on a bit of a break after this episode. Yeah. But without further ado, let's get into our Boys Season 5, the final season pub quiz, John.
Yes, fellow boys and girls, fellow quizzers, let's get into our pub quiz. It is question 1 from, of course, episode 1. What is the name of the cabin and location where Starlight and Kimiko meet up with A-Train to ask him to be a part of the breakout? It is Bunk 18 in Wagner Woods, or Wagner Woods. Or Wagner Woods, if you want to be operatic about it.
I always thought that was specifically spelt with a V, though, to give that
no.
Wagner kind of...
No, it's a W.
Okay. Well, there you go. It is more likely to do it Ride of the Valkyries than from Wagner.
Yeah.
But yes, you gave loads of information there in your question to point people to the right scene so they could pick that out, but made it a little bit more difficult than just the title of the episode, as we discussed back on episode 1. On to episode 2, one of my favourite questions for the season. Question 2 was, the Teenage Kicks member Countess Crow only has 2 crows left. What are their names? And the answer was Cameron and Russell Crowe. Cameron Crowe and Russell Crowe.
Fantastic stuff.
Very good.
Yes, love that one. Question 3 from episode 3. What was the name of the medal presented by Vice President Ashley to Soldier Boy? It is the first ever Democratic Medal of Patriotic Freedom. Yes. Trust an authoritarian state to come up with one of those.
Absolutely. It's almost like the Medal of Patronizing Freedom would be also acceptable.
Indeed.
On to question 4 from episode 4. What soup is in charge of the police department where Annie's dad is sheriff? And the soup there was Livewire. He was the soup that was rounding up people supporting Starlight or Starlighters in the local area. Yeah.
Yes. We didn't actually get to see him ever, did we?
No, we didn't. Just got to see the one of the other members of her dad's team came around to the house to try and arrest them all. Yeah.
Excellent. Just as you would do. On to episode 5, fellow quizzers.
You're saying you're an anti-Star Homelander, John, is that what you're saying? That you would come around to the house and arrest?
No, just as you would do, because they're evil.
Yeah, okay, good. Let's move on to the next question.
Yes, question 5. From episode 5. I hope you're getting the pattern now. What does the Deep suggest communion wafers be replaced with in the Democratic Church of America? It is Nilla wafers or vanilla wafers.
Yeah, I just put that in because the actual name of the product is Nilla wafers, but lots of people actually wrote it down as vanilla wafers because they just corrected themselves thinking, I haven't heard that properly, but in the US there is a product called Nilla wafers. So that's
which I guess are vanilla.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. But it's just that's the brand name that he was calling out, that he wanted to get them replaced for communion, because that is his contribution to the brand new Church of America, is that you need to change wafers to vanilla flavored wafers.
Well, in fairness, yes, tasty wafers rather than It's like the sherbet flying saucers with that kind of rice paper, but without the sherbet.
I just don't think you can suggest in a church that what you need is some flying saucers with sherbet in the middle of them just for that 3-second hit of wafers. It's the body of Christ, John, not the body of the aliens in a spaceship.
The fizzy body of Christ.
Body of the aliens. On to our next question, question 6. What does death smell like according to the legend Chet Vanderbilt? He says it smells of hand sanitizer and lasagna.
Yes. As we grow old, we start to take on those perfumes. Or do we? Or if you do start to recognize those smells, run.
Run away from
quickly
from Italian restaurants with good hand regime. Yeah, good hand regime.
On to question 7. What is the name of the topless steakhouse in Reno? It is the Juicy Rack. Hubba, 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 hubba.
I'm so glad that was repeated a few times towards the end of the season, because I thought that was a great name for the restaurant.
Exactly.
So I presume this is just a take on Hooters.
I guess so, yeah.
But because it's a steakhouse, a little bit more.
Or raisins.
Or raisins from South Park, of course, which is the take on
Hooters.
Hooters, yes, of course.
Well, I now forever know it as raisins.
Exactly. On our final question 8, for the final episode ever of The Boys, our question was, what 3 items does Hughie buy pregnant Annie to stave off her nausea? It was ginger beer, ginger candies, and saltines were the 3 items. Dr. Bob pointed out to us that there's only in the last year or so a tablet has been developed to take care of people that have morning sickness during their pregnancy period. So only recently have they come up with an invention that can actually take care of the nausea rather than you have it to take multiple things to settle your stomach. You just have a tablet now.
Excellent stuff, yes. Hopefully I wonder if that's really specific towards it being sort of morning sickness, or whether it could do all sickness. Is it like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's specifically to do with morning sickness.
Okay,
the old issue that has been around about medicine is that most medicine was tested and created for men or on men and then adjusted for women afterwards, if women were lucky. They would be involved in the process, and actually it would be made completely for them. So only in the last 10-15 years have a lot of medications been specifically developed and targeted towards women.
Absolutely. And I think another evolution on that is why cat and dog medicines are really advanced, because a lot of medication would be tested in its initial stages on cats and dogs, at least maybe to begin with. So maybe it's sort of reduced down now that there's the anti sort of animal testing.
Well, yeah.
However, in a living animal, and I think that was always why cats and dogs had quite good options of different medication. Now, whether you could get that medication down a cat's neck without being scratched to death is another matter entirely, of course. But the other thing then that kind of leads into that is this whole thing where there's now this jab for a cat that can make it live for another 30 years. So I guess it's coming, everyone. I guess it's coming for humans as well.
Well, that's live up to 30, not live for another 30 years, because that would make them 50. But
that is still quite long. I mean, even
long, a big age for a cat.
Old cat may have gotten them up to 21.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
maybe 22. I can't quite remember, but certainly it was hovering around 20.
Mm-hmm.
So another 10 years. Imagine hovering around sort of 80 and you're like, gonna be 100, 10 more years of tax. Why?
Well, yes. Luckily, our podcat Charlie doesn't have to pay tax, so he doesn't mind.
Well, no, he doesn't. He just pays in nudges and purring.
Exactly.
Indeed.
On to the wonderful fellow boys and girls who sent in their correct answers for the pub quiz. We also asked for where they were from, just so I had an idea. Really, luckily, most people are in the US or the UK and Ireland, so pretty much everything I've chosen for our boys' goodies can go out to either the UK or the US. So that's good news.
Yes, a good amount of entrants as well for the final season pub quiz, and a good number of those that got all the questions right. So we have 16 going into our e-tombola.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do. We've got Steve Brown, Dr. Bob Phillips, Jamie Lawton, Coffee and Vodka, Pete Demelatias.
Yes, we've got Heather Sass, Conan Dorgan, Christina Cunningham, Denise Lardy, Ken Log, Mindy Megan, Rick Edgar.
And we've got Teresa Law, Will Walton, Keith and Brendy Mueller all joining us. One thing I definitely noticed in there is lots of people listening to us in Ireland now, John.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great.
Over the years, we've had a very low audience in our own home country because the shows we cover tend to be coming from the US. But it's great to see that we've got lots of listeners in Ireland for the boys.
Absolutely. Really good. And also, I am still thinking about potential meetups as well. It might now be next year, of course, because I think in the end, we want to try and connect it into maybe a Dublin Comic-Con, or even just, I guess, a time where there may be other stuff on. Like we met one of our fellow Gothamites from ages ago. We've been to a few conventions with. We met them at the weekend because they were over for The Cure. So that was brilliant. They were at The Cure gig along with us.
And we met three members of the Walking Dead fandom, Zheads.
Exactly.
Who were over for the Florence and the Machine concert in Dublin. So that's I guess concerts are a good way to do it as well.
Yeah, exactly.
But we've kind of run out of concerts to go to this year because we went to 4 over a week. So we're kind of done in concerts, but maybe a Comic-Con either later this year or early next year. But we have to start really planning it, and then we will let you know with lots and lots of time to hopefully get yourselves to Dublin.
Exactly. But it is my fault, so apologies, fellow quizzes, fellow defenders, fellow boys and girls, and fellow industrialists. We will get there.
It's all right. We'll get there. As John mentioned, we've got 16 of our wonderful fellow boys and girls in with a chance of getting their hands on some boys' goodies. So, hey, Google, give us a number between 0 and 16.
Here's a random number. 11.
Fantastic. Number 11. That is Mindy Megan in the US.
Excellent stuff. Congratulations, Mindy, for being pulled from our e-tombola. You are the lucky number that has been picked, and we'll be sending you some goodies. Well done, Mindy, and congratulations, fellow quizzers, for all your answers being sent in and for getting this far. It really is great seeing such a quizzy season.
Absolutely. I hope you had lots of fun joining us for the quiz. There was some really fun and interesting answers for that final season of The Boys. I can't believe it's all over, John. I can't believe we're at the end of The Boys season 5. I know one of the complaints that lots of people had, or one of the discussion points, let's say, that lots of people had was one of the issues with season 5 of The Boys was there was lots of setup for Vault Rising, lots of connections to the upcoming series of Vault Rising. So while we did have those setups, I think by the end of the series, pretty much every character had an ending or something happened to take care of their storyline. So, it's just great that everybody was able to at least join us for our final season of the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess that's the thing, isn't it? In a sense of saying, look, it is over, but the story continues through Vault Rising, which is in essence a mega flashback series to the early days of Vault. And I think that's been so ever present in this season, or series, I should say, anyway.
Yeah.
And it was present in Gen V. I think hopefully they sort of marry it all together like they've done with The Boys and Gen V. I think as well, I think sometimes however awful it might be or might feel, like I'm going to really miss The Boys and Gen V as well. Yeah. But sometimes it's good to just finish and have that contained series. But as I say, I think it will continue through into Fort Rising. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think the important bit is you can definitely watch all 5 seasons of The Boys, ignoring everything else, and get a great story there with the 5 seasons of The Boys for the characters that are there. Obviously, we took the directions off to the sides, covering Gen V and covering even the animated series, the Diabolical, and we will be back for Vault Rising. And interestingly, in this show, since they didn't kill off Soldier Boy, now there's much more of an expectation for me that we will return to Soldier Boy in the current time period, or maybe even later after The Boys have finished. Yeah. So you never know. We may get some of the characters from The Boys crossing over into this show, coming back at a later stage in the future. But it is a really good overarching story for the 5 seasons of this show. It is a real shame now that Gen V isn't going to be cancelled. It's come out afterwards that Eric Kripke had very definite plans for what was going to happen in season 3 of Gen V, which is why he didn't treat the characters as big crossover characters into The Boys, unfortunately. So we may not see their story in the way that he originally intended, but now there's actually an opportunity for them to do something in Vault Rising with those characters, given that Soldier Boy's still around, right? So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And Vought,
exactly.
Corporation. Yeah. Corporation Vought is still there.
Will never die, apparently.
Indeed. Yeah. Shall we get into our feedback section, though, for this?
Yeah, we got a final couple of pieces of feedback from our wonderful fellow boys and girls.
Indeed. First up on email is Coffee and Vodka, who says, "Greetings, fellow Rundun defenders. Do the best I can with the threat of the cat on my desk, paw hovering just above the keyboard. The long and short of this season is that the parts were greater than the whole. Each episode held to typical boys' standards, well-constructed pathos, bloody interaction, humour, and very occasional tenderness. The season pretty much raised the need to have ever watched a single episode of Gen V, and was as much a Vault Rising prequel as it was a boys' send-off. In and of themselves, justification for any online vitriol. I have hopes, however, the upcoming spin-offs will mitigate, if not completely repair the damage. In the meantime, taking in the show through the spirit of it, rather than the rare content slip-ups, the entire run was an unmitigated and highly recommendable success. Speaking of, should anyone want more Antony Starr in their life, hit up what I believe to be his even better series, Banshee. Thanks for your coverage, and possibly see you for Spider Noir. For the complete 5-season run, I give 4.5 Wee Hughie Bloodbaths, Dearly Departed Terrors, and New Beginnings out of 5. Peace and take care, Coffee and Vodka." Thanks so much, Coffee and Vodka. I would absolutely be with you there with the 4.5 out of 5. I thought this was a really good ending. I think we got the rise of craziness at a corporate level, at a ego level, at a political level, and what that means, but wrapped up with humor, tenderness, violence, bloodshed, more humor,
some pleading,
smuttiness, swearing, you name it, all really good, very irreverent, and I think absolutely needed in these times. I think equally for me, if I needed to pick one of the cast, I think the ensemble is just brilliant.
It is, yeah.
That's the great thing about it. But even with that brilliance in the ensemble, for me, I have to go with Antony Starr as Homelander because of how he made me feel in those awkward moments. There was no other character that probably since Hannibal the Cannibal has made me doubt what may or may not happen as much. Is he going to kill them? Let them go? Do nothing? And that tension that he brought to that role and how it was captured by cast crew, just phenomenal for me. And I think I actually do mean, I think I was being a little bit flippant saying no other character since Anthony Hopkins' Hannibal the Cannibal, but equally with Hannibal, that was the same kind of tension for me that made The Silence of the Lambs just such great piece for me.
I just thought you meant Mads Mikkelsen and the television series.
Well, no, that as well.
That happened quite a few times as well. Like, wait a minute, Detective Graham, don't sit down at his dinner table on your own.
No, absolutely. Yeah. But I think as very early on, I was much younger watching Silence of the Lambs, and even just behind plexiglass with no superhero powers, it was like, what can he do to Starling behind that? You know, I mean, of physical violence.
Yeah.
And I think that's Antony Starr brought this borderline psycho element of just the unpredictability of it. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
You know,
I have to give Banshee another show. Coffee and Vodka recommended that there. Have seen a few episodes of it, but never really stuck my neck right the way into it, or my beak right the way into it. Have to give it a go, but have seen a few episodes of it, and it's a good show, definitely. So very interesting to hear. It's you believe it's an even better show than The Boys.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, good stuff.
But yeah, goodbye to The Boys.
I could always do with a little bit of Antony Starr in my life.
Absolutely. Yes, you're similar to our thoughts about The Boys season 5 as the final season of the show. Pretty much stood up against the rest of the series. It is a really good series. But yeah, a little bit of the touches to Gen V and touches off to the future of Vault Rising may have felt like you weren't focusing on the characters. But I think overall, when you look back to the series, there was a huge amount of focus on The Boys and all those little individual complaints that we talked about each week of, hang on a second, get back to The Boys. By the end of the series, they were pretty much gone. They were focusing back in with our main cast. So happy enough. Great stuff. Thanks, Coffee Vodka, and thanks for joining us for our Spider Noir coverage as well. I know you really enjoyed that show too, even though you blew through it much faster than we did.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Coffee and Vodka.
Absolutely. We do have some feedback in as well from Keith in Ireland, who says, hey all, again, thank you for all your work. I always enjoy listening along with you guys. With The Boys season 5, I ended up feeling a little mixed. There was some positive aspects and negative. The show has some brilliant funny moments, especially with Antony Starr, along with a good finale that gives great closure, closing loops with all the characters. Negative include, though, the continuous hype building of different aspects for it to come to nothing. The V1, the virus, the powers of Soldier Boy. I also thought that it felt a bit rushed, especially considering Annie's story, where she went to visit her dad. It took a lot of the character of Annie. I thought that was very confusing and annoying. Her motivations were never really clear, and she would change from moment to moment. Such a pity that the Gen V cast were completely sidelined, along with a rushed solution to beat Homelander, who seemed to have been beaten very easily without him ever really going full psychopath this season. For me, 3.5 poor terrors. All the best from Keith.
Excellent stuff. Thanks, Keith.
Thanks, Keith.
Yeah, absolutely poor terrors. I can't believe little Terror.
Yeah.
Nodded silently away there.
Yeah, which just, of course, gave the final motivation for her, Billy Butcher's push off the edge to take out all Supes. Yeah, it's an interesting complaint, Keith. I've heard this one quite a few times, actually, over the last couple of weeks as well, that people were expecting to have Homelander go full psychopath at some point during the season. And I think that's kind of the challenge with a character like Homelander. He is so hyper-powered by the time we get to season 5, where he effectively is a nuclear bomb ready to go off, that if he does go off, then, well, you've killed everybody. So, the whole point of The Boys is that it will eventually come to a point where the heroes save the world. And in this case, they stop Homelander, take away his powers, and he should be crying on the floor like the weak, useless person he is underneath or behind the enforced superpowers that he's given. That's kind of, I think it was a great ending for the character, and the ending that I think he deserved. He's a sniveling little git. He should be on the floor pleading for his life. That's kind of where you want him to be. If he's not crying in jail somewhere, then this I think is the ending that I wanted to see for Homelander. But I know lots of people seem to expect that the final episode would be this massive superhero battle over the course of over the skies of America, that all the Supes would come and on the side of the Boys or something and take on Homelander and have this huge battle. I don't think that was ever on the cards for Prime Video. I don't think they're ever intending to do this massive CGI super battle. And I think Homelander had kind of gone pretty psychopath in the past. He, in front of people on camera, he'd used his laser eyes and cut protesters in half. That's pretty psycho, So I don't know. I never expected to go to full psychopath by the end of the season.
I mean, I just kind of thought he was psycho. I think it was as much in his quiet moments. I don't think like his psychosis is one that I think, is brought out by the snivelling on the carpet in the Oval Office, and that's what drives him to be this unpredictable, spoilt brat, just always wanting for things. I think that's where the interaction between him and his son was really good. It's like you have all this power, that you still aren't happy, and so I guess there's been plenty of bloodshed there. But I think we did see full psychopath. But we saw him being more confusing, I think. And that was to do with, I think, ultimately that he wanted affection and he wasn't getting it. In particular from his dad and his son. And they were the things that possibly really meant that's where he showed that, I guess, quote, weakness of letting them live or not finishing off the job. But equally, because underneath it all are these huge insecurities fed by having to breastfeed all the time. Ultimately. And
what he wanted, as you say, what he wanted is acceptance. He wanted people to love him in that vision that he has of the angel telling him how his life's going to be. In the vision, they're saying, well, kill anybody that doesn't like you, and then everybody that's left will be the ones that love you, won't they? That's what happens. Just kill everybody that isn't that won't love you. So yeah, he had gone over the edge again, much like Billy Butcher as well. So on Annie's story, this has come out after it as well, and I know you probably didn't know this, Keith, when you sent it in. A lot of people didn't. Erin Moriarty, who plays Annie, was quite sick when filming the final season. She was diagnosed with a rare disease, which she shared with the production team, and she actually gave them, she says in an interview this week, she said she gave them full access to her medical records so they could schedule her time on the show differently than they had before, because she knew it would impact the filming of the final season. So I presume that actually played into some of the scenes that she filmed may have had to have been on their own and not with the rest of the cast while they picked up all the other storylines. So I believe she did have to have some of the season rewritten around her illness that she was going through. So luckily she's doing really well. But at the time she just didn't want to impact the show hugely, and they worked out a schedule so she'd be able to film something in the final season. She's a major character in the show. She couldn't do it. She knew she wanted to be involved. She didn't want to get written out at the start of the season. She's too big a character for that. So glad they're able to finish her arc. But yeah, having an episode where she's with no other characters that appear in any other episode of the season, really, I would suspect that was probably to help her with the medical condition.
Yeah, because actually, I would agree with Keith here that Dad's story, just because I know maybe it's nice to have the touch point with him, but it's more her mum where we've seen it before, and even having her mum. But yes, so I would kind of agree with Keith there, but equally, yes, if they're having to work in around an illness, that probably explains it. Yeah. Excellent stuff. Thanks, Keith.
Absolutely. Thanks, Keith. And thanks, everybody, for listening along with us for this season of The Boys. A quick one to say goodbye to The Boys. We are hoping to return in the Vought cinematic universe with Vought Rising in 2027. Indeed. Yeah.
And of course, remember, fellow boys and girls, that we have just finished our coverage of Spider Noir. So please head on over to our Defenders podcast where you can pick that up, as well as the latest season of Daredevil Born Again, season 3. We have also just recently completed both Invincible, the animated show, the latest season of that, as well as the third season, or the season 3 film of Good Omens as well. So please head on over to TV Podcast Industries and subscribe to those podcasts, listen to the shows, and of course we will be coming in with another Spidey podcast very soon as well.
Yeah, Spider-Man Brand New Day coming out at the end of July. Myself and John are going away on our holidays for 3 weeks this time. Well, John's gone off to work for a week, and I'm following on for 2 weeks afterwards. But we will be away for the next 3 weeks, just back in time to start back with Spider-Man Brand New Day, and cannot wait to see that movie. That's really exciting.
Really looking forward to that.
And as John mentioned, if you're subscribed to the Boys podcast, the next thing you'll hear here is Invincible. If you do want to hear a coverage of any of the other shows, tvpodcastindustries.com, and you'll see what we're covering over there. We have a schedule up there as well, so which I will be updating with anything else that's coming out towards the end of the year that we're hopefully going to be covering as well. So thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations once again to Mindy Megan. Thank you very much and for joining us for the pub quiz.
Yes, indeed. Well done, Mindy, for coming top of the pile for the pub quiz, and of course to our other entrants and fellow quizzers who, like me, got all excited about a pub quiz, because we do like them in the end.
We certainly do. We certainly do. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll speak to you again next time.
Yeah, and until next time, fellow boys and girls, keep watching, keep listening, and of course, keep being awesome.
Bye.
Bye.